Welcome to another episode of Pulse of Polynesia, a platform created for our Pacifica people sharing their journeys, their lived experiences, and the stories that shape who we are. My name is Leaso Filoyali, streaming from Texas, and I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Crystal Stephanie from Las Vegas, Nevada. As we're midway through our evening here, our guest is joining us all the way from Sweden, where it's 6 a.m. in the morning, a place that's not so familiar for many of our Pacifica people. However, for those of you who are tuning in, stay with us as he shares the many gifts and talents he's accumulated over the years, shaped by experiences in Samoa and abroad, and offers his perspective and journey with us. So without further ado, Beauman Fuimaono, welcome to Pulse of Polynesia.
Pulse of Polynesia. Yeah, Pulse of Polynesia. We are Pacifica, people of the ocean, people of the sun. We are Pacifica, people of the ocean, people of the sun.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, mo laman na siling amar of tayo tua, yung mo lang no pollinate out loud that tumaku tayo. Yeah, the pollinate time patalo ko to tuay. Yeah, that yung last one is kuya or to fine. Crystal, yeah, pollinate no tayo. Yeah, tuwing malinate ang tayo pa pinawna. Sa yung pollinate podcast. Yeah, patulot for ipa iyo Samoa iyo tafasia iyo tupo mawe. Yeah. O paia lava leo o yes fam talanga langa o tau sia lao ai fa tayo leo tato filoa i lungol mga fitau se fu i o fai lo tong pa tia ya o matalo sa maya leo le for tai o fa nga ni fo i o mai mo pe o fai lang malo si i nipta ra ulang nipta to fa tayo le e ai tu ya o mawe o duai le malo si e tino ma fa ko ya miselang. Anyways, good morning from my side of the world to everybody tuning into the podcast. Yeah, my name is Beauman Fuimaono, also known as the Story of Bo, and I am honored and delighted to finally be here on one of my favorite podcasts on the internet, Pulse of Polynesia. Salam.
Thank you. It's so good to have you on our podcast. It's so exciting. We had such a good conversation before we came on. And so what an honor. Thank you so much for being on here. Thank you. Yeah, it's an honor. Yeah. Definitely an honor.
Yeah, let's mind.
Oh, and also good morning. Good morning all the way from Sweden. Yes. Wow. But before we get into that, I got a question to get things started. Okay. So, take us back to your early days, because how did your upbringing shape your desire to work in media and the community organizing? So let's go way back to the dinosaur years of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I was always a shy kid back then, but it was like, I think my family in my village of Bali, we were the first family to actually have a TV back then. And that was when we were watching TV from American Samoa, like the American TV. So we were watching wrestlings, and so all the people around my hometown came to our place to watch. But that's my first exposure until my grandmother's cousin bought this TV, and then everybody think, oh, so that's a new TV, it's newer than this one, let's go watch that. Until that guy said, oh, if you want to watch my TV, you gotta bring 2 coconuts. Then they end up coming back. But that's my first exposure to the outside world and of entertainment and TV. But growing up, I always was like, I was always kind of shy. I don't want to be in front of the camera. Because in Samoa, they usually come to film the church services. So whenever they come, if my mom will force me to go, and especially love for this. So I always try and hide behind taller people so that they don't get my face. That was the way I am. But my mom had a brother. She has a brother who's currently the Saol Matuaing. Yeah, the film Tamaing Laing Taulangi Vapsuanga. Yeah, but the film from Fuimaono. My mom's brother Vapsuanga Fuimaono Leo. This guy always, whenever he comes to somewhere, always brings his camera with him. And he was the guy that actually just came. Like, I have 11 adopted brothers, one real sister, and one atop the sister that was all raised by my mom under one roof. And for some particular reason, he always comes in. It's like, you're the guy. I'm going to give you this camera. You film all the Falami stuff. So I was always behind the camera, starting to film all this stuff. And thinking about it again, especially when you guys contact me, I was like, I look at this, man, I'm thinking about all this, and all these memories start being up. Is that when I'm doing the house and the camera comes around, I'm always funny. I'm always like saying something funny, something like that make everybody laugh. So when we go back to watch, when he does put together the videotapes and my family gets to watch it, I always run away. I don't want to watch myself, but my family's always laughing about it. Like even to, and I have that habit to this day, right? If I film something or I do something and somebody films it, I never want to go and watch it. I just feel like, I don't know, I always kind of judge myself, but that was my first exposure to this. But, it wasn't something that was in my mind that I was going to be like a media person. I had different dreams. Of course, mom has different dreams for me. But yeah, that was basically how I learned how to operate, those cameras and started to like have that. But I was always still shy of just being in front of the camera or watch myself being in front of that camera. Yeah, so that was the beginning of it for me.
That's pretty interesting because, a lot of times where people accidentally get involved into something that they didn't realize that they liked, that they were natural to it. And to say that, you didn't want to look at yourself as you were filming afterwards. But what was it that brought you right back to it every time? Because, a lot of people will run away from it. Yep. And then there are those that it's like a boomerang. You end up going right back to that. What was it that brought you connected to it again?
I think this is the thing that it got me. Like, I went through school, high school. I was like, to be honest, I was a very talented young man in terms of sports. I was a brilliant rugby player. I was running athletics 100 and 200 meters for Samoa College as a rep sprinter at school. But my mom always said, oh, and this is true words. My mom was a teacher. My mom has taught a lot of prominent figures in Samoa. And she always told us, she said, the only thing I want you to do is to put your face in them books and go study. So that was it, so and this was like my mom's dream, right? And she told me, by the end of your school year, of your school life, you should be valedictorian. You should be a DUX, right? And I did that for her. Oh, like for her, became that exactly what she did. And then I got to uni. Really, that's one of the best semesters, and then I got tired of it. And then I was like, nah, I'm just gonna leave this. I'm not gonna listen to my mom. I started rebelling against my mom because I felt like you made so much promises to me as a kid, but now nothing. No, you haven't actually gone through with the promises said. Because my older sister, my real sister, she was living in New Zealand. She got taken away from me when like in 1996, and that was like around, I was like 10 years old, and I've always wanted to go see her in New Zealand, right? And so this is like the thing that I started rebelling. So I left. They're like, nah, I don't want to do uni anymore. And I went out and I started doing music. With my friends, started recording music. So yeah, that's where I started having background in music as well. And it was just something that we were doing. We were recording other artists, like well-known artists in Samoa, like for example, Joe Failua, Ben Yanai, the Mato Brothers. Those were our early work. And then 2 years later, and I remember this, it was New Year's. It was New Year's of 2009. And I was outside my house, and I was cleaning, like, cook, like, and this is New Year's, right? And I was listening to my radio was blasting, and there was somebody on the radio, and I listened to this guy on the radio, and he was talking, and I listened to him, like, he was so bad. Like, this guy was so bad to be on the radio. Lord, really, and I stood there with my saluku, and I said to myself, what the hell is this guy doing on the radio? It's so bad. Like, what? Like, you can't be like that. It's you're like, the radio is where education happens for a lot of people. That's where your hearing skills comes from, and you learn a lot. And this guy was so bad, and I was like, and I started like to myself. I started complaining to myself about that guy, and then the moment of realization happened, and I said to myself, well, what the hell are you doing? You're standing under your ulu tree with your saluku, and that guy is actually working in the radio station. The whole country listens to his voice, listens to it. Even if he's so bad, the people listen to it. But what are you doing? You're just standing under your ulu tree. The same day, and I said to myself, man, I can do a better job than that guy. I swear. And I said that to myself, I can do a better job than that guy. That same night, on the 1st of January of 2009, we had dinner that night, and my mom said to me, Sonny, what are you going to do with your life? You had all this education, you had all this, and all of a sudden you just, what do you want to do? If you're not going to go and do a job, you're just doing music, but there's no proper income. You get what you get, and that's it. But what are you going to do with that? There's the time of the CDs. You have to go sell CDs, right? And when you go sell your CDs, somebody else is already ripping your CDs from those what you call
Burners,
software,
CD
exactly, and sell your own CDs.
Yeah.
So and I sat there and I said to my wife, I'll go back to school. And so she said, okay, well, what are you going to study now? And I said, I'm going to go do media. Yeah, I'm going to go do media. Are you sure? You hate it?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I think, like I said to her, I listen to this guy. Like, I don't care if I'm going to be in front of the camera. If I'm going, like, and in that time, my head space was radio. Nobody can, even if nobody sees your face, don't know who you are, they hear your name, they hear your voice. They know. So as you speak, they hear your voice, they know. So that was it. And then my mom said, all right, if you really think that's what you want to do, then go do it. Took my papers by myself. My mom didn't even help me with anything. I just took my own papers. Went to the National University of Samoa and said, hey, I'm here. I want to register, and I want to study this media and journalism at the National University of Samoa. And that's when I kind of went back into this. So thanks to that guy who was on the radio that day. He's the one who actually gave me that challenge.
Inspired you.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know, I have to ask, like, it's one thing, like, having that inspiration to go do something, especially you had the confidence, like, I can do this. And that says a lot about a person who has a lot of confidence. But while you're going through, you've been registered, has there ever been a moment where you were telling yourself, what have I gotten myself into? And you're already halfway through your education. Was there ever a time that you wanted to quit and you questioned yourself with your decision?
But with media or yeah, with me. No, like in my education, I just went in there, and I remember like my first day at school, and my teacher, na yung Misa Mikilepo, she asked all of us, "Why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you taking media and journalism?" I don't know. Everybody kind of answered the questions, and then it came to me, and I just said to her, I remember it. I said, I know this is an adventure. This is a massive adventure for me to work in the media industry. I know it's a big challenge that, you're going to have to go through, things where you might get killed, you might get a somebody might fussy you. And if you make it to the big leagues, you might end up like going and covering like wars, like all these politics. And I realize it. So yeah, I look at this and like, this is a massive, massive adventure for me. And it's very interesting. And I'm ready to jump into it. And then, as he said, as he looked at me and he's like, oh, I think finally, we're going to have a male that is going to take this course. And that's what's there. I swear that's what. And it started with me. So it never actually, there was never a problem with me there. I just put my head down, get my grades up. Didn't have any money to go print. So I will go to any office, find any teacher, because even you have to go to the library and you have to pay to print out your assignment. So I had to go to find anybody, knock on any office, and they're like, look at me, like, who are you? I said, hi, my name is Beauman. I am a student in media journalism. I need a printer to print my assignment. Otherwise, I won't pass. And they would help me. And people would help me. And that was it. It's just like knocking on doors. So it never really did until, like, I think problems or issues starts to happen when you're actually in the industry. But over there, I had a Filipino teacher. Her name was Nora. And I had Misa Vicky Lepo. They were absolutely amazing teachers in teaching us how to be media personnels and be journalists. So yeah, I didn't have any problems in terms of education, only in the field.
Wow. How did you build your confidence? Because you're so confident now, and versus back then, because you said you hated the camera so much, but now you have this confidence. I mean, when I watch your content, it's like you're so confident in what you're saying, and I love all your history facts and stuff like that. And so,
I think it's grandfather. Grandfather was a fighter out. It was a man of pure confidence. This man really emanates aura in my whole life. I look at it. And then this is one of the things that he instilled in all of us. And he said to us, like, even when I was a kid, he said, learn first about who you are. Understand who you are. Understand your place in your family. Understand your place in our village. Understand your place in the whole of Samoa. When you understand who you are, where you come from, you will never, ever be scared to walk in any room. You walk in any room in there, you hold your head up. That's what he did. All of those years, when he walked in wherever he goes, whether it's in the lands and title schools, he walked with confidence. And this man, I tell you this, because we were grandkids of McDowell, every kid in the local communities, they will have two lines from the Kuspaia to learn as a local. I promise you, we had short stories to learn. Me and my brothers, we had like 2 or 3 pages of we had to learn. And I feel so now my second older brother, he's the first out. And back then he was so bad at reading that he was the one who gets the most fussy. I remember we still to this day we laugh about it, we think about him, we laugh. We had to look at Mickey and he was struggling so much. He just stood up in front of the whole just like, tell him to get off the stage, get off stage, you're embarrassing. And you're like this. But that was it. And it was like hammering into us to be able to stand in front of people. And of course, because we grew up in the church, our church was the first Samoan Pentecostal church. And so we were kids that this is our lives. You perform every Sunday. You go up as the Alcolovo, you sing, you perform skits. But that was the foundation for us. And little do I know, even back then, if I was like, I'm tired of this. But those were all part of confidence building. And then, later on, I start understand who my mom is, who my mom is. My mom is, she was the kaupo for the Ausiba Whaihaunga for so many years. She was the kaupo for the Ausiba Whaihaunga. And and she was a teacher that taught so many bright students, even politicians to this day. When I explained Samoa, they were laughing and talking about my mom when they realized I'm her son. And then my dad, because my dad was, he was a teacher, then he became a or a assistant, a school inspector. And after that, he became a judge he was the president of the judges in the Lands and Titles Court. So I looked at these people and I'm like, well, I have massive shoes to fill. And, I can't be timid. I can't be, I have to hold my head up high and try to, live up to these people, because these people are legends. Like for me, they are legends to the country. Yeah. So that's where I started building the confidence from.
Especially when you mentioned your genealogy with Crystal, the both of you having the same family lineage. That's amazing to know how the royalty, the bloodline flows really deep within your family. So that's pretty amazing. I have to ask though, in 2012, you were a part of a group of Samoan students who went to China on scholarship. Studying there had to come with some wild culture shock. What is one memory from that time that still makes you laugh? So, I have to say that in American Samoa, we didn't have that opportunity to go abroad to study. So when I'm hearing about this with the students in Western Samoa, that's a whole new different
huge.
world.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the first cultural shock was, and I'm sorry, it's when I went to China and I didn't know the etiquettes of the country, especially when it comes to using the bathroom, the toilet. And I'm sorry to anybody if you don't feel this. I hope you don't feel disgusted about it. But yeah, so arrived there, the ambassador, we had the most amazing ambassador, Samoan ambassador there, the former Excellency Tapusalaya Teritomata and Madame Severina. They were so amazing. They hosted this massive welcome dinner for all of us. And of course, now we are new here. Haven't even visited the bathroom. Haven't even seen the bathrooms in China. And now, the Samoan kids have been there before us, wanted to take us around town and go and enjoy the town. It's our first time in China. We were trying to go see China. Yeah. In the morning, coming back to go find my dormitory. I couldn't find my dormitory. And I really needed to go use the restroom. So I saw one of my school buildings and I ran. I'd never been this is we arrived yesterday. Now this is the morning after we arrived. Now I remember I'm sure there's going to be a bathroom in that building. So I started running into it. Yeah. This was the first culture shock. Open the bathroom. There's no toilet seat. It's a hole. It's a squatting toilet.
That's right. Yeah, I remember.
You had to squat. And then you look around, you can't find no toilet paper.
Toilet paper, yeah.
In China, you have to bring your own toilet paper.
Yeah, it's like that in Japan. It's like that in Japan too. So
yes. So this was the biggest and the first slap in the face culture shock. And this I speak about it because this is so funny, because in China, when you're in the city, you have your cubicle, you have everything, your privacy. Now, the more you go out of the city, the more the walls of the toilet starts to disappear. Now, so you will get a little bit outside of the city. Now you are squatting here, your head is up here. You can see the guy next to the next cubicle. You can see them over there. Yeah, it's your head. The more you get into the villages, all of the walls disappear. It's just a line of holes over there. So you'll be squatting over here, looking at another man squatting over there, smoking his cigarette and just taking his time. But that was the biggest culture shock, for us. And you know what? We adapted. And that's it. And that's the thing about us Samoans, we are navigators. We are born navigators. And wherever we are sent in the world, we adapt. We find our way, and we started to learn. Yeah. But that was it. Even to this day, we still laugh about it. Like, kamabuya la kula ko performance was ready. It's totally people call performance.
Well, the first time I've ever used that outhouse was when we moved to our village in Nalao, my mom's. And then we didn't have a toilet, so we had to use the outhouse. And I was like, Mom, what are we doing? And, are we poor now? I would say, what's going on? And then she's like, just it's like a toilet. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, but it was a really good experience. I loved everything.
And it's
the
a humbling
natural
experience also, right?
Yeah.
Like that, it just brings you back down to like, oh, my head is starting to get a little bit big right now, thinking like, everything is like that. And then you come here and I'm like, oh, yeah.
That was like, it was such a good experience. I always loved that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in China. You're absorbing and getting used to the etiquette and also the different types of food and the lifestyle. How was learning Mandarin for you? Because it's not an easy language, especially with the characters and the letters.
Yeah. So even like for me now, I still tell myself like learning the Swedish language is much harder for me learning Mandarin. Because, so I'm now a quadlingual person, right? I speak 4 different languages. But it's all because of how, the only hard part in learning Mandarin is when you actually learn about the characters, right? But there's a thing called pinyin, and pinyin is how you write how the word should sound, right? And so the thing about Chinese is if you write the word like Y-I-N-G, it is supposed to sound yin. If you say H-A-O, you say chow, right? Yeah. You say it as it is, like you're reading Latin alphabet.
Well, it's kind of like Samoan too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the only hard part is the characters, right?
Yeah.
And once you get the going, it becomes easy. But and that's why I say like, but Swedish is a whole different thing. It's like, for example, I'll give you guys a quick example. So, for example, our word here for driver's license, right? Driver's license, and the driver's license in Swedish is spells K-O-R-T. So if it's K-O-R-T, a person who doesn't understand Swedish would immediately say, "Oh, it's easy, Korkort." Right? You're just about to say it, right? Korkort. And then the Swedish says, no, it's not Korkort. You're supposed to say Körkort. And I'm like, wait, where is the S and the H in this word? It's a K. When did the K become S and H? So that's the difference between these languages. I'm trying to say is that it's harder to learn this because there's so many. So when the letters are combined, the sound completely changes. But for me, like learning Chinese, and we were thrown into it like, you start today, there's no like, we take it easy. No, you come straight in. The teacher just walked in and started, Ni hao, Datia hao, Woshi Wang Lao slip. Just go straight at it like that. And they'll be like, all in Chinese. And then all we know is like this word, how it sounds, the character looks like, and then the English meaning on the side. And that's how it is. And we were just like, okay, let's go. And we were supposed to learn between 2,000 and 3,000 different characters within 1 year. And you cannot progress to go and do your major without passing level 4 of the what we call HSK exam, of the language exam. So yeah, it was a challenge. We did it. If other Samoans that came before me could do it, why not? Give it a go.
Yeah, I could see how you guys were able to pick up the patterns with Chinese
Yep.
language and the characters and how it seemed logic. Whereas with the Sweden, it's like, it doesn't seem logic because it doesn't look at like how it sounds.
Yeah.
So that,
Yeah.
well, I'm very, that was the one thing I was very intrigued about you was like, you have to have a very high IQ to learn several languages, you know, especially where you have a lot of people that can only settle with one language or two, and that's it, because you have like the storage in your mind, and so when you're talking, you try to avoid making a different language cutting together. It's just messy.
Yeah.
So for you to be able to learn all these languages, that's very very smart and articulate of you to be able to do that. So,
I think
how are
it's-
you able? Are you teaching your son too at the same time with these
Yeah.
different languages?
Yeah. So the thing is, my son, the dynamic of our family here is my son is surrounded by 6 different languages and everybody just speaks their own language to him. And like I mentioned to you before in the beginning, before we started, my son at 7 years old, he's got 123 IQ. And
Wow.
that's a very high IQ for
Yeah.
a young person. So yeah, and my son kind of struggled in the beginning of like speaking. He went to 3 years old, like almost 4 years old before he could actually speak. But the doctors keep on telling us it's because there's way too many languages. There's too many tonations of languages. It's like if Samoan's tone is like da 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 da, and then the Swedish tone is like ch 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 ch, and then you have the Mandarin on there too, like and then you have Icelandic. You have Icelandic. You have Italian. And then you have English. So he has 6 different languages, right?
Wow.
That's always, and everybody's just come to him and just speak their own language to him. So my son has learned to kind of understand what they're telling him, but it's hard for him to speak. But now, yeah, he's learning the first language that we want him to be proficient in is, apart from Swedish and English is Mandarin. So yeah, so I told him this week, like we were driving the car and I got the new email and says, oh, he's no longer training football on Sunday. And he says he's going to train on Monday. I said, sorry, yeah, you're going to train on Monday instead of Sundays now. And he said to me, Dad, so that means football on Monday and then Tuesday I have to go to Chinese lessons. And then after Chinese, it's my piano lesson. And then on Wednesday, football again. And then you have Saturday, Thursday, I don't have to, it's a no screen day. I can't see my iPad, can't see. Oh, so it was like, he was kind of like venting to me. But I said, yeah, but you know, all of this is stimulating you, right?
And it's beneficial.
Yeah.
It's very beneficial when he grows up because
So
that's really,
it's all hopes and
you don't
dreams.
see someone's do that often where they have language class, they have a music class, they have all these things, you know, that we're natural athletes and we are, you know, most likely musicians. But as far as language is concerned, we don't really see us adapting to different languages like Chinese or Swedish and things like that. So I think that's really cool that you're getting your son into these things while he's young.
And I agree with that. Like we because that's the stereotype, right? And I think for us, we get tired of us being stereotyped by people. Like I saw that you had the doctor that the medicine lady that was on your podcast earlier. You see, and we can clearly see and tell ourselves, you know, our people doesn't have to exercise all the other muscles of the body. There's a bigger muscle that we can actually exercise, and some of us are good at it, right? And it's right there. Like you can see it in your own kids, right? But the thing is, us as parents, we need to provide avenues for them, right? You have to provide avenues for your kids to actually explore that side of them, explore their brains, and be imaginary and use their imaginations all the time, because it's so easy to just say, here's your iPad and the iPad becomes the teacher for
The teacher.
8 hours, 9 hours of
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah.
But what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're wasting your brain cells on watching unnecessary stuff on your phone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I was telling Crystal and another guest in a previous podcast about how my sons were taken to a professor to get IQ tested. And one of the things that he mentioned was the kids with the high IQ, you have to keep them busy. You have to have a schedule set for them, because like I mentioned to them earlier, they either go to jail, they end up in prison as they get older, or they're going to be successful. And so I asked about the prison part, and the reason why they end up in prison, because nobody was able to stimulate their mind and keep them busy and active, that they turn to things that are bad influence, drugs, alcohol, because people couldn't understand them and they couldn't understand how their mind works. So when you mentioned about your son, being active in all these different things, it's a habit that they get used to when they get older. It becomes like it's like they'll be able to succeed more because they're used to that type of study habit and bringing on challenges. So that's pretty interesting.
Absolutely.
It's nice to see you do that. And seeing your content, you always have your son involved
Yeah.
with it. So that's good parenting.
And I think it's something that, like for me, is that this is why it's so important that I have my community here in Sweden. I have this bond with the Samoan brothers that I have here in Sweden. And we all kind of feed off each other on how we do things and how we look at our kids. A lot of times that we can go and enjoy with our friends, whether it's on a phone call or a group chat, whether it's on TikTok, right? But for us, as soon as it's time for the kids, time for the family, all that fun goes away. God, I'm out. Right? Bye guys, I'm out. There, right there. And that's everything that I came here, try to integrate myself and adapt to the lifestyle of here and becoming a dad. And I look at the other guys who have been here, right? I don't have no family. I have no blood. I have no bones, and I have no flesh here. But the Samoan people here, they are the ones that have helped, that have taught me, and they become family. That saying, blood is thicker than water, right? The actual saying is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. That's the whole true saying, which means the water of the womb that you share with your siblings and your family doesn't really matter if the blood of the covenant between you and other people, the family that you build, is more greater than that. And that's what I have found here with these people. Like one Samoan guy here, his name is Vance. I will mention his Vance Thompson. This guy and his family love my son so much. They bought themselves a house, right? They bought themselves a house. And they made sure that they had an extra room in that house, and saying, that's my son's own room. Because we're always at their house in the weekends. I could take my son there to hang out with the Samoan kids, be Samoan in some way, because that's what I mean. This is the blood of that covenant that is more thicker than the water of the womb that you were born with, and my own flesh and blood. And that shows here that they teach me. And in turn, I turn around and I teach somebody else. I have another son. We have the newest Samoan guy that came here. Now they taught me. Now they are chilling. And I'm the one who's doing the same thing that they did to me to him. And I'm passing it on. And that's it. I was like, so, all that thing you think you know in Samoa, how to be a parent, that your wife do this and you that, nah. You gotta get up, take your kid, pack his stuff, take him outside to the park. Take him to football, take him to, whatever. Yeah, that's
It
it.
evolves.
Yeah. Like the one thing I love about our culture or our people is no matter where we go outside of Samoa, once we find somebody that we're, that is the same, Samoan or Tongan or Hawaiian, we become instant families because we all have that something in common, with being Pacific Islander. And so I just wanted to ask, why Sweden? Why move to Sweden? What's the story on that?
Was it a girl?
Yeah.
Was it?
Told her to stay away, but she kept on coming. She said she likes it. And
Tell.
stay away from me, man. I'm trying to go home and study. But yeah, I met my son's mom in China. She was there to study. She's an artist, really, really great artist. And I don't know, but there's a painting that is hanging here that she did. I don't know, maybe I will show you guys after the program. But she's a great artist, and yeah, met her when I was studying in China, and we stayed there. And I mean, I was done, and I was about to go home, paint my ears here, and leading up to me going home, the last 2 weeks of going home, and we found out that she was pregnant, and she was so adamant that not going to keep the kid, and I was ecstatic when I saw that. I was like, I was so happy, you know. As someone, when you like, you think you're gonna, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna, but she said like, I'll keep it. So I said, all right, you know, the rhetoric of my body, my choice, and you know, and I said, all right, I respect that. You have to understand that this is what's going to happen. I'm leaving. I'm going home. I'm going back to Samoa. And I will tell you this: if you decide to terminate the pregnancy, you will probably never ever see me again. If you keep that baby, I will follow you wherever you are to raise that kid. So she went with her grandmother into the doctors. So did all the papers. She sat there. Doctors went inside to get, like, she was going to get pills because it's early stages, right? Just pills. Yeah. And she just sat there, and the doctor came back. She was gone. And she just took off. Grandma followed her out, and she said, I don't think like everybody around her, like her mom and her grandma, her grandfather, they were telling her, this kid is a love child. You have to keep this kid. And she said, no. She was so adamant because she's a young girl. She's way younger than me. I think she is like 5-6 years younger than me. Yeah. Like I said before, I told her to stay away. She still came. But yeah. So
But in your heart, you're like, I'm so glad she came. Because she's my everything.
Yeah. But yeah, like it was like, but this was like, also there was a part of it when we were together. She always had this thing, like, she kept on saying it to me. So it's like, even to this day, she still reminds me of it. She said, I will never have another kid because I always said it to you. I know what I like. If I would ever have a kid with somebody, it has to be you. It has to be you. And when in that moment, I think part of that kicked in. That she was like, I've always said to myself, and I have always said to him, if I ever had a kid, it has to be him. Nobody else has to be him. And she's still, to this day, she's still staying with that. Even though we've separated, right? She's still staying with that. And so she decided to keep the pregnancy, called me up. And because because she's half Chinese, right? So she's half Chinese, part Swedish, and her dad is half Swedish, half Finnish, Finland. So my son is a bowl of fruit salad.
Yeah.
That's a bowl of fruit salad of mixed
From the north to the south.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, and then so this is like Europe. It's like Europe, 3 continents all smashed into him. Like it's Europe, Asia, and Oceania, right? All smashed into this kid. And then she said, "No, I'm keeping the kid." And then her grandmother said to her, "You know what his name is going to be? Because he has 3 names, right? His main name, like his school name, is Amadeus. And Amadeus is Greek, and which is a name that we both love, and it means Amma means beloved, and Deus means God, is beloved of God. And then you have Naoya, which means it's Samoan, which means the only one, right? And then his grandparents, no, his great grandparents in China gave him his Chinese name, and his Chinese name is Chang Tianyi, and which means it's the will of the gods. This baby was the will of the gods. That's the meaning of his name in Chinese. So, but yeah, and so she called me up and she said, I'm keeping the baby. Yeah, so I decided not to be a runner, but to be a father. And so I came over here and be a father. So I came here to Sweden, and I went back to Samoa, and my media career started to kick off, like blow up, like really quick. In 5 months, I was like fire. I had to come here, and it was like, plan was just come here, see his birth, and then go back home. Because at the same time, I was going to go be the PR, public relations officer for Team Samoa in the Commonwealth Games in Australia that year. And after that, I was supposed to be in Montevideo, in South America with Team Samoa, for the youth world champs. That was it for me. And at the same time, I was here. My first, because I came here for 3 months. First month here, I got a call from the office of the Prime Minister, in the press secretary. And for me, that was the end game, or the end dream, is to finally become the press secretary. The one person that writes every speech that our Prime Minister will go out and address our people. And it has to be my words, right? And this is the door is opening for me. Do that. And I came here, met this guy that I told.
Boom, 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 earth shake, silent fever, wave riders, lava rivers, no distance.